In 1969, over 500,000 people showed up for a rock concert in upstate New York. By the end of the three-day event, Woodstock had become both a legend and symbol for a generation. 30 years later, nearly 250,000 music fans congregated on a former Air Force base near the original Woodstock site for the 30th anniversary reprise of the Festival for Peace, Love, and Music. But by the end of this three-day festival, Woodstock turned into a blazing inferno. In an effort to understand the dynamic behind Woodstock '99, it's important to contrast it with the original Woodstock.
It's really amazing. You know, it looks like some kind of biblical, epical, unbelievable scene.
Even though the 1960s were a time of intense, often violent social turmoil, the original Woodstock became synonymous with peace and love.
Woodstock '69 was a congregation of people who had a vision of peace. Those people went there to connect to each other.
The original Woodstock was a logistical nightmare. There were some incidences of minor violence and drug abuse, but for the most part, peace and love were perceived to reign. Unfortunately, some latter-day Woodstockers seemed more interested in embracing the hedonistic side of the legacy, rather than practicing the idealism, real or imagined, of their parents.
The example of Woodstock '99, of a majority middle-class, probably well-off kids going to a concert and resulting in mayhem, I think is indicative, again, of these not obvious reasons for much of the youth in America being angry, which is, again, that they feel disconnected.
On the final day of the concert, the Red Hot Chili Peppers were in the midst of their festival closing set. What began as scattered bonfires suddenly escalated into several major infernos. As part of the crowd began to riot, they overturned vehicles, burned trailers, and looted vendors' tents. Booths were destroyed and concert light stands were toppled. The mob also tried to destroy a radio station truck during several chaotic hours. And as the fires burned, dozens of concert-goers danced around the flames, while others beat on drums.
What are the bands they chose to have at Woodstock '99? Korn, Limp Bizkit. That's what their music about, is anger. It's not about love. What did they think was going to happen?
Experts have provided many reasons why the throng at Woodstock '99 turned violent. Some blamed the vulgarity of the music. Others said the crowd was protesting against the high prices of food and beverages at the event. But most experts think the answer probably lies within the phenomenon of the mob rules mentality.
What's going to happen is that the individuals in that mob are going to all reach their little breaking points. Everything they do is going to hyper-arouse the guy next to them. So I reach my breaking point, I act on it, and my acting on it helps the next guy reach his breaking point. And that's why it's a snowball effect.
Bombs were blowing up. Propane, all the diesel fuel, it was insane.
People were screaming, crying, screaming people's names, looking for people. They didn't know where to go, who to look for. Very confused, very chaotic.
When you add all of it together, it's almost like a pot, like a cooking pot. And when you add, you throw a little bit of drugs, a little bit of alcohol, a little bit of, you know, feeling good about where you're at. The concept of mob mentality is essentially breaking boundaries and that being an infectious process.
When you take an average guy and say to him, here's a time where you can do whatever you want and you won't have to follow the rules and you won't have to be accountable, he may take that situation and run with it.